know many people who love motorcycles more than I do, but my buddy Randy does. Randy loves motorcycles so much, he hasn't owned a car in years. Randy has a 2-car garage with 12 motorcycles. He can't fit a car. Or can he? Randy bought a car. Let's go see what he's done and take the tour.
Hey Chris, how you doing? Welcome to my garage.
Hey man, there it is. I can't believe you did this. I know you said you had a car in the middle, and you do. You got it in the middle. It fits. It fits way better than I thought it would.
Yeah, it works out really good. I can move it to one side or the other and get one row of bikes out at a time really easily.
I love it. Holy crap.
I'm glad you made it.
72.
Yep, 72 MG. It's been restored. The interior, the engine compartment, the trunk, everything looks brand new.
We're going to check it out. So give me the tour, man. I've been waiting for this.
All right, well, we'll start over here. This is a 2003 Triumph Speed Triple in roulette green, they called it. This bike has pretty low mileage, around 7,000 miles on it. Runs excellent, fuel injected, 955 Speed Triple. This is my oldest bike I've had the longest. I bought this one up in Denver, Colorado, and brought it from Denver when I moved to Vegas about 9-10 years ago. So yeah, this has been with me quite a while.
These are really cool. I went to Keith Code's wheelie school like 20 years ago, and this is what we rode. We rode on these.
Oh, very fun.
I still can't wheelie, but I did go to the school. My wheelie's awful.
Yeah,
but I can wheelie on that bike. I can wheelie that bike.
It's surprisingly fast when you get to the right RPM, around 6,000 RPM. It comes on like you're being shot out of a cannon. It's kind of a really big hit on this bike, so a lot of people consider it probably faster than it was, but it's a very quick bike when you get to the right power band on it. Very exciting bike to ride.
Your neighbor's gonna like that. Cool bike,
and then
man.
Next to it is a bike you used to own, so you're, I'm sure, familiar with it.
Yeah, I know this bike, and I love this bike.
1993 Triumph Daytona 1200. This is a 4-cylinder versus this being a 3-cylinder.
Very rare bike.
Very, very rare bike, and this bike actually has a sticker on it from Personal Cycle Service, which back in the day I think I might have actually been in the showroom when this bike may have been in the showroom.
How cool is that?
In Daytona Beach. So I still need to check all my old photos and prove it, but I'm pretty sure that I was in the showroom at this point when this bike was being sold.
That is really cool.
And then this bike needs to still kind of be gone through just a little work on it to get it up to par.
It's a good shape though.
Yeah, it's got great mileage for its, it's in good condition for an original bike, original paint bike. Same with this one, original paint. Let's see, so then next to it
is the oldies.
Yeah, we go into this one, 1970 Triumph Bonneville. This is a T120 R. R stood for the ones that went to America. Oddly enough, for some reason, they go for a little more money than just a regular T120. I don't quite know the reason why, but these were fairly commonly produced. They were cranking out, I want to say, around 1,000 a week. Or maybe not that high, but they were making a lot of these. So this is a fairly common old Bonneville. And it's considered to be one of the greatest. By 1970, they put bigger brakes on it versus the bike behind it, which is a 65 with smaller brakes. And they had rerouted like your headlight switch up here versus the side of the bike. They moved the ignition up here. Just made it more user-friendly. They stiffened up the chassis a little bit better. So when you ride these back to back, the 70 definitely rides more like a modern bike. Virtually the sound is about identical between the two. You couldn't really tell much difference. They both start really easily, usually the first kick. I would tell you maybe this one is just 5% easier to start versus 65. Just a little bit more refinement that they did to make them start a little bit easier.
They're cool. I like them both very much.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Yeah, this one we got it, went through the whole motor, got it all restored. The electrics all restored on it, so everything runs. Runs just like a great modern bike. Really, very comfortable bike. You could feel safe going out of town. With either one of these, All right, we're going to start up the 1970 Triumph Bonneville for everybody. As you can see, the motor's cold. Haven't started it yet. It sounds the same as the 65, so we'll just fire up one of these. So, tickle the carburetors already. We got the PX on, turn the ignition on. Let's see what we got here.
Wow. It's cold out too.
It's cold out. It's what, 30-some degrees now.
Sounds good. Not a lot of smoke either.
No, the motor's been broken on this one really well. Well, that's a 1970 Triumph Bonneville.
Awesome, man.
This one is a 65 Bonneville, and this one is a very, very rare model called an SR. And there's not a ton of information on really what the SR was, but what it really was just a cosmetic thing they did from the East Coast out of this dealership called Jomo that was the East Coast distributor. They added the SR badge where it comes back from here to here. And normally on a regular Bonneville, this little chrome piece right here would not be there. So that's really one of the main differences I've been able to discover for sure. And I was even talking with an expert about it, and he didn't think that. He's like, no, it shouldn't have that piece. And I showed him on his SR, it was missing it. He's like, oh my God, you're right. This one also, I've got the petcocks with the original fins, which are really hard to find. I also have monoblock carburetors that would have originally gone on the bike. This one has concentrics. The person I bought this one had restored this bike and put the concentrics on there. He just preferred them, but a lot of people will tell you they prefer the monoblocks. So this bike I've got either set, to go with the bike if I ever want to sell it. One of these recently, last year was at auction. It hit $35,500 for a Bonneville. That's very, very high, unless they're original paint ones. This one's been, all these two are repaints. Matching number of bikes on both of them. Like this one does have one funny thing I'll have Chris show you here in a minute. It has a backward tachometer. So the speedometer and tachometer, speedo is normal, but the tachometer goes in reverse, which this one's regular.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
So one of the changes they made. You also had the parcel rack, and this was the last year they did the parcel rack in 65. 66 they got rid of it, I believe. I might be wrong. Maybe 66 had it, and then it was 67 they got rid of it. It was one of the, I forget to be honest, but.
The Triumph guy out there, he'll tell us.
They'll tell you for sure. Oh, yeah, you can look them up in the book. Yeah, I forgot. This might have been the last year, but I can't remember if it was one more year than they got rid of it. And then let's see. So behind it, we have a JAP.
This is so cool. This caught my eye.
Yeah, this is a factory cutaway. It's JAP for James Alexander Press Switcher. I'm probably telling you the wrong name on it. But it's the only one I've ever seen with a factory JAP cutaway. I've never seen another one. I got it from a buddy up in Denver, had it for years. I don't know a lot of the history, unfortunately, on it, but just, fun artwork to look at. And you'll find a lot of old motors for sale. They'll come up. You'll find a nice JAP for $1,200 to $2,000, $5,000, depending on the rarity of it. But I've never seen a factory cutaway, so kind of interesting piece there.
Really interesting.
And let's see. So walking around the garage here, we'll go over here. This is actually a friend of mine. I've owned this. He's owned it, or he owned it, sold it to me, and I traded him back. This is a 1964 Allstate 125 two-stroke Vespa. It's made by Vespa. They badged them under Allstate. When Vespa first came over, they lined themselves up with Cushman, as in the Cushman scooters, and they were outselling the Cushmans like 5-1 or some crazy amount. And Cushman finally kicked them out. And they kind of then started teaming up with Sears and Allstate. That was their Allstate brand. And this one is an original paint bike in this good a shape. It sort of only has I think on the mileage, 13 or 1,400 original miles. It's very, very low miles. I hadn't started this bike in probably 8 months because, like I said, it's not my bike. Brought from a buddy, I fired it up, the second kick fired right up. Runs just like a brand new scooter. Everything works on it. All the speedos work. Everything's working on it. Great little scooter. The passenger seat, we normally just take it off. It's not even bolted on there right now. Then you've got a little rack underneath the seat back here. So you can see kind of what it looks like without the, I think it looks way better without the rack. Now the rear spare tire on there actually is stamped Allstate. That was another really rare accessory. So that's actually an Allstate tire on the back of it. Then the scooter next to it here is a Stella 2005. This is basically a copy of this scooter, a 2005 Vespa. They're both 150s. These were made by a company in India called LMS. For a short time, Vespa owned them. They're virtually almost identical. There are some differences. The Stella on this one, my buddy in Denver sold it to me. I rode it for a while. He rode another one in Denver that he really liked. So he ended up wanting it back, so I sold it back to him. So I'm kind of waiting to get it back up to Denver. This one has a pipe. They both max out about 55 miles an hour. They're 4 speeds on both of these. This one's also a 4-speed.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Big difference is this one's piped, so it'll accelerate a little bit quicker than the Vespa. The advantage to the Vespa is the seat is more comfortable. The clutch on the Vespa is much better. They put a way better clutch on the Vespa than the Stellas. But other than that, they're virtually, very identical bikes. You can't hardly tell them from each other.
I like the green. The green color, I definitely dig.
This one, it's got about the 4,000 miles or so. This one, I think, when we look at it, maybe it's like around 1,500 to 2,000 miles, somewhere in that area. So very low mile. A lot of people buy these, and they just don't ride them in the States very much. So you'll find a lot of scooters, older ones, with low miles in the States. I guess in Europe it's unheard of, but here we're very lucky for that. So we'll see. This one's going to the Mecum auction. We'll see how it does. My 2 Triumphs behind Chris are going to go to the Mecum auction and the Green Speed Triple. So we'll have those 3 bikes at auction. The Allstate over here, my buddy's going to auction at Mecum coming up. Then the next bike over here is a 1973 RD 350. This is an original paint, original bike. It's got a couple just little nicks and dings on it, but being original, you want to just leave that. It's so nice and so clean, you just don't want to restore this bike. It runs great. And this will also be going to auction. 1973. It's got pretty low miles actually. It's not bad at all in the mileage.
I'm down with you. I like patina. I say leave it alone.
Yeah.
It's original once. I hate when people say that, but I just said it.
Yeah.
I agree. Leave it alone.
Yeah, I think that in most cases, unless your bike is just, it's up to you as a person how you want to do it. It's your bike. But yeah, I kind of like them original. I think that's a lot of fun with them. Then this is another, this is also a matching numbers bike. Okay, so the next bike we'll go to now is going to be the also a 1973 Honda CB350 inline 4 versus this one is a 2-stroke twin, side-by-side twin on this one. This bike, they're the same year, even kind of the same almost color on them. Very, very different rides. This bike is extremely smooth. My buddy William, who has another collection of great CB says his is the smoothest bike ever. But if you actually look them up online, Shiro Honda will tell you this was the smoothest bike they ever made. Now, I don't know if William's right or wrong. He did a dyno test on one of his bikes where it wouldn't fall over. I've never tried it on this bike, so honestly I don't know. But
what are you going to do?
I'm going to start it up with a nickel and see that it doesn't fall over. Okay, nickel's on there.
No way.
Yeah, you ready?
No way.
Here we go. Look at that. I'll even rev it a little bit. Look at nickel's trying to fall off, but it's not.
You are kidding me.
No! This thing is smooth. Singer,
no way.
Yeah, Singer ain't got nothing on this motor.
very smooth bike, but it is a little bit more on the slow side. This bike, the RD, is way more exciting. You're on the pipe. It's just, this bike will wheelie. This bike, it takes its time. You can rev them up pretty high. It revs up fairly high, I think 11,000 RPM. Very different bike than this, but they're both, I would say the seat on this is a little more comfortable. These are a little taller. Not much, maybe an inch or two taller than the CB. But both of them, very fun bikes to ride. I probably have more people honestly come up to me with the two-stroke Yamaha because you're blowing smoke and you're A little louder than this bike's pretty quiet. This one has aftermarket exhaust. They're supposed to have an inline four, and I have a set of them over here for the bike. I have not restored the pipes to put them back on, but this bike has a very rare set of pipes, I guess, that come out during the era, and it was like an optional pipe you could get, and I guess they're very rare and sought after, so this is kind of an interesting pipe on this bike. All right, and that's a 73 Honda CB354. This one's been rebuilt on the motor. All right, so my next bike, 2005 Kawasaki Ninja 250. Very common bike. Not a big dollar bike, but a very fun, exciting little bike to ride. It revs very high. You can get them up well over 90 miles an hour. I think I've actually broke this over 100 miles an hour on a steep downhill before. They handle great, very comfortable on these early Ninjas, the 250s. When they went to the 300s, they went to a smaller seat. You know, obviously way more power, better brakes, but they lost just the rideability of them. These are just fun to ride. Big gas tank. You can actually just light touring with these. You can go out of town, you know, go 200 or 300 miles, no sweat on them. Just fun bike.
They handle so good.
Handle incredible.
My wife had one, and I would love jumping on it and riding it because it handled so good.
Yeah, great hand little bike. To me, its biggest downside are the brake. It's got a disc brake, but it's not a very powerful disc brake. It's you know, it's a 2005. It was more of a generic brake probably back then because they were a cheaper model. I'd say these retailed for like right at, I think they were $29.99 out the door back then. But this one, I'll probably end up selling it here fairly soon because I've got some other bikes coming in. This one's got, I think, under 3,000 miles. So this one's in really good shape.
It's in real good shape.
There's a lot of upgrades you can do to them, pipes and different things, carbs. This is a also 2005. So I've got 2005, 2005, 2005, and a 2005. So there's 4 of them in the garage the same year. This is the GP 200 Vespa. So with this one, original paint, fairly high mileage Vespa. This one's been used a lot. It's been ridden, well taken care of. I kind of use it a lot as a car versus my little MG. I'll go get groceries with this. You know, under seat storage, the top box. And this one is actually surprisingly fairly quick. I want to tell you it would probably easily break 75 with no sweat, maybe even 80. So this one's very usable. You can just get out and go. Really fun. I can't recommend to people how good Vespas are. Their build quality, I would tell you, is just second to none. They're just insanely well built. They're fun to ride. The downside for the newer Vespas is their twist and go. So for some people that's an advantage. Some people it's just not as much fun shifting as the older Vespas. Depends what you like. But as far as just reliability, these things are very well built. So yeah, I would highly recommend Vespa to anybody that if you're interested in them. I love this color. They call it olive verde green.
It's a great color. I've never had a Vespa. I always wanted one.
Yeah. You know, and riding the new one versus the old one, they're so different. Your old Vespas are cable operated shifting. You switch it with your hand, going like slower, faster, faster, and faster up to your 4 gears. So it's like first, neutral, second, third, fourth on them. Once you get used to it, it's fine. You have a foot brake down there. With this one, you've got, you know, your rear brake, front brake, just like front brake and rear brake. I guess that'd be the front brake there. But yeah, these have underseat storage. You have a glove box with storage. On the old Vespa, you just have a glove box. And this one, I have a folding rack that comes down if you need extra hauling, but much easier just if you want to go pick up some fast food or whatever with these, you know, just utter joy to own this. I love them. I can't recommend them enough to people. Now, the final bike down here, kind of high news, a little bike. It's a brand newer 2019 Honda Monkey 125 fuel injected bike. This was the first one in Vegas. I knew about this bike and I come down and found it at a dealership. Run over there instantly. As soon as I heard it was on the floor, I think it was the first day they delivered, I went and got one just to get one. Because Honda has this thing they like to do where they release them intermittently. So one dealership will get 1 or 2, and then they won't get them for like 3 months, and then they'll release them another 1 or 2, and depending on the dealerships and how many they get. But at first when these came out, they were very rare. You never could see them. So I went a good year without, everybody stopped me like, what is that? You know, is that an old Monkey? But if you saw it sitting side by side by the older monkeys, they're much smaller, way smaller bike. This one is, big fat seat on it, extremely comfortable, fuel injected. This one's a 4-speed. The newer ones now are 5 speeds. Very fun to ride bike. I would tell you, of all my bikes I've ever owned, this is probably my favorite bike. I can't emphasize enough how fun the Monkey is with the fat tires, really small little bike. You can just run them around in a circle, just turn them super easy. It gets up to probably, with me being a bigger guy, maybe 60 miles an hour. Maybe that's about its max. There are soup-up kits for them. You can make them, a lot faster if you want to do that. Having other bikes, I've never done that to or wanted to really. But just a very fun little bike. Couldn't recommend the Monkey, great bike. I've also owned the Super Cub, and it was really fun too, but I've always slightly preferred the Monkey over the Super Cub that came out. And that is the bikes for the garage.
Well, this is why I'm here. You bought a car. You're a real motorcycle guy who didn't have a car.
Right.
Now you have a car.
3 years with no car at all. The Vespa was my car to go get groceries. But yeah, I finally, my buddy and I, he bought a British car. I bought this British car from another buddy. And we've joined the British Car Club now and just having a fun time doing some of these old British cars. And these are so fun to drive. Very slow car, not fast. This car is maybe 60 horsepower at best if I was lucky. It's being this old, maybe 45 horsepower. It's a 4-speed car. It does not have a synchro first gear. So what that means is your second, third, fourth, you can shift just like a normal standard car. This one, when you go to first gear, you have to be at a dead stop, or you can double clutch it to get the trick and you can do it that way. But you get used to it. It's a very comfortable car, rides great. I would tell you more reliable than I thought it would be. Hopefully it'll stay that way. But yeah, just a really fun to drive. Normally I never have the top up. It's got so cold here, I finally decided to put the top up. And they say you should keep the top up, here and there every once in a while. Don't leave them down all the time. But yeah, that's a new top on it. I wish it had the back top that would zip out the back window. So if this one gets bad eventually, I'll get a different top that has a zip out back window for it. But just a fun little car.
It's in beautiful shape. Every one of these I've ever seen in my life, they seem to be pretty beat up. I was surprised at how nice this was when I got here. I mean, it's really nice shape.
You got the rear tire in here, and you can just see how clean everything looks into it. That motor looks just as clean on the interior, is super clean. So yeah, just a fun little car. Be surprised like they put a little light in there for you, Everything's chrome and metal, chrome door handles. The American ones on these got the 3 windshield wipers. If you were in England, you've only got 2 windshield wipers. I don't know why, with all much more rain they get, why they decided to do it that way. Maybe it was laws or something.
Yeah, it must have been a DOT thing. Must have been.
Yeah, but any of the American ones, if you see the 3 wipers, that's an American MG. And we got more of them, I would imagine, than they probably did. I think MG still has the biggest car club in the world going on. I believe they have the most members, the biggest car club now. But yeah, it's a fun little car. This one has the wire wheels. It gets a little shimmy right around 55 miles per hour, and you drive through it. Once you get past 55, you're fine. It only lasts about 2 miles an hour, but it shakes the car. And I probably need to go through and get the wheels really balanced well, get them all, trued up. But yeah, it'll pretty easily go up to like 70, 75. That's about as fast as it's going to want to do. You might get it to 80, 85 if you were just at red line, but
Downhill.
Yeah, downhill with a strong tailwind. Yeah. No, it's definitely not a hot rod. It's
cool.
A fun little corner car. It makes you smile. You get a lot of attention wherever you go. People come over and talk to you about it. You don't see them nearly as much as you used to. They used to be very common, and now they're just not on the road very often anymore. So it's something different, when you're driving them. But yeah, so this is my current collection. I'll probably have Chris come back here in like 3 or 4 months, and we'll see how it's changed.
Well, I'm going to go to Meekum with you.
Yeah.
I definitely, I don't want you to go through that alone. William's going to be there selling off some of his collection. I'm going to have fun watching that.
Yeah, and William is the instigator in all this. He was just like going through selling some of his collection. He doesn't have room, and he got me thinking, yeah, I'm always out here trying to run a bike, you know, with 11 different motorcycles and a car, trying to keep everything running is a chore. And really, do I need that many bikes? Well, the answer is probably yes, but no, I probably don't. So I decided, yeah, I'll go and sell some. There's a few other bikes I'm planning on picking up. We'll see what changes in the garage, but I do kind of want to honestly get down to a few less than I have now, just for more room, ease of maintenance.
I understand. Thank you for giving me the tour. I know we've had a lot of conversations on the phone about motorcycles. I didn't think there were too many people out there that loved motorcycles more than I do, but I think you're one of them. And thank you again for being a buddy and giving me the tour. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, Crystal. Anytime. Hopefully, you know, we'll see how they do at auction. We can film that and come back. We'll see what the next collection looks like here in a few months.
Makes it all fun, bud. Thank you.
Definitely.
Oh, this is so fun. Oh,